is more than a drink, it's a way of life. And the secret to making cafe quality coffee at home is by brewing freshly ground and freshly roasted beans in a quality coffee maker. Coffee machines vary greatly in price, quality, and functionality. And what you inevitably choose will depend a lot on what you want to be able to make with it. If you're in the market for a new home coffee setup and you're at a loss of where to begin, here are 6 simple but important questions we recommend asking yourself, which will save you a lot of time and hassle in the long run. Firstly, and most importantly, would you prefer to make it yourself, or would you be wanting a machine to do that for you? Automatic and manual machines are worlds apart, and how involved you wish to be in the ritual of making your coffee will determine what type of machine you inevitably buy. Let's start by looking at automatic coffee machines. Now, automatic machines are perfect if you just want to be able to press a button and have the coffee appear for you. You don't need to know how to grind, dose, tamp, or steam. But please note that automatic machines do require you to empty out the waste and run cleaning cycles for the milk frother and the coffee brewing components. Most automatic machines require this maintenance to be done daily to keep it in top-notch condition, so don't think of them necessarily as less work. But maintenance aside, one thing to really love about an automatic coffee machine is the consistency and the great quality. Most automatic machines these days, specifically the brilliant Swiss Euro coffee machines, are able to make a pretty unbelievable cup of coffee. We do ask you to keep in mind though, if you are a die-hard barista style cup of coffee kind of person, your automatic machine will be able to get you mostly there, but just not all the way. Simply because traditional manual machines have the functionality and the manual control that has yet to be reproduced in an automatic machine on the market. We also have automatic filter coffee machines. We've seen an incredible growth in popularity in this style of machine in just the last few years. These fantastic machines automate the process of producing beautiful, light filter brew at the touch of a button, bypassing the more intricate and the sometimes time-consuming steps of making a filter style coffee. Now, do not confuse this style with American drip filter coffee, which is reputably quite dark and can be quite bitter. This brew is moreish and it's tea-like in mouthfeel and a full-bodied complex flavour. And best of all, it can be made in batches of varying sizes and it can remain hot for hours when you're using a thermal jug or a heating element. Moving on to manual coffee machines, and you should consider a manual coffee machine if you want to be a professional home barista. You simply enjoy the idea of making your own coffee, you have a particular way that you like your coffee to be made, or you just want that 10 out of 10 coffee every time. Whatever your reasons, it's nice to have a traditional machine to make a coffee on at home. Cleaning and maintenance is simple and quick, and most importantly, you can produce a fantastic coffee with minimal training. So let's start by asking, are you a milk-based or a black coffee drinker? And do you entertain guests or family very often? If you're purely an espresso or black coffee drinker, and you only make coffee for yourself, you'll be sorted with a single boiler coffee machine. You only need water for espresso, so you don't need any of the extra functions that require more power or even that second boiler. Now, if you're more of a milk coffee drinker and you want an inexpensive option, you could look at a multi-function single boiler. These boilers have the capability to heat up to a level that can produce steam as well as the temperature of water needed to make espresso. Single multifunction boilers are generally controlled by a switch or a series of switches and can be a great alternative to buying a more expensive heat exchanger or even a twin boiler machine. A word of warning though, it can also take longer to make coffee with a single multifunction boiler machine, and you may even need to wait in between functions, as you're pretty rarely able to steam milk and extract coffee at the same time with these kind of machines. If you are a milk coffee drinker and you would like a coffee machine that the whole family can use, or you'd like to be able to make coffee when you have guests around, then you should probably consider a heat exchange boiler machine. These machines can provide more temperature stability than those single boiler units, and it's set to be able to steam milk and inject the correct temperature for the water for making espresso. When you're considering a heat exchange boiler for your coffee machine, you should check the boiler and heating element sizes, as this will affect the recovery rate of the machine, especially if you're going to be able to make up to 6 or more coffees regularly. The larger your boiler and the more powerful your heating element, the faster that turnaround will become. Now, in saying that, guys, most heat exchangers have enough power and grit to handle as many coffees as most families would need at a reasonable speed. Unless you drain a good portion of the hot water from that boiler, you can achieve very consistent and great quality coffee with pretty minimal effort. Now, if you have a family of coffee drinkers to rival the Partridge family, or you're an aficionado wanting a seriously tasty and consistent coffee at home, then you should consider getting a twin boiler machine. Twin or dual boiler coffee machines provide enough power with dedicated boilers for making both espresso and for steaming milk at the same time, and this creates more consistent coffee. Now, more often than not these days, twin boiler machines come standard with a PID temperature control for your espresso boiler, meaning you're given the next level of control over your espresso extraction. However, more and more we are starting to see the PID control pop up on some heat exchange machines as well. When wanting to make larger volumes of coffee in an office or at home without sacrificing the quality or speed, dual boiler machines are the way to go. Next, do you have any space restrictions? Most domestic coffee machines need approximately between 30 and 45 centimetres of square bench space. Now, if you're looking at a coffee grinder, you should allow space for that as well on one side, just bearing in mind that grinders are generally much smaller than the coffee machine itself, not as deep and only about 10 to 15 centimetres wide. It is best for you to work out what area you're working with and then see what fits, rather than getting your heart set on a certain setup only to find that it won't fit in the space that you have. Is a grinder important to you? So the importance of the coffee grinder will depend on different factors. For example, coffee grinders are often a built-in component in an automatic machine, but they are not always built into a high-quality manual machine. While we know it is tempting for financial reasons to buy pre-ground coffee and forego the grinder, we really encourage our customers to factor in the importance of grinding your coffee right before brewing it. The difference that a freshly ground coffee bean can make to the quality of your cup is invaluable, simply because ground coffee depletes dramatically in quality once it has been ground. So not having access to freshly ground coffee can make the experience of making quality coffee at home a bit disappointing and at times quite frustrating. For a home buyer's guide to grinders, click the link below and you will also see that we have a link for more information about why it's so important to use freshly roasted and freshly ground coffee. It's very informative and it's very relevant when you're buying a home coffee setup. Finally, do you have any budget restrictions? Now, depending on where you're buying your machine from, the price you pay doesn't always truly reflect the quality of what you are buying. We recommend that you really do your research and you know what it is that you want in a machine before you step foot in the store. The more empowered you are in the knowledge of what you want in a machine, the more informed your decision will be. When buying a coffee machine, most people do not expect to be back in the shops 3 to 4 years later replacing their previous model due to its failure. And yet that is far too often a reality for a lot of people. Now, obviously we're a little bit biased, but it's for these reasons that we recommend that you talk to coffee machine experts. Along with your research and your knowledge of your wants and your needs, they're able to guide you to a solid and long-term decision instead of picking the latest and sometimes hottest trend. Now, this may mean waiting a little bit longer and saving up some coin, but that end result will be well worth the wait. If you would like more information or assistance when it comes to buying a home coffee machine, you can always come into either of our showrooms or even give us a shout out on the phone. You can also find helpful blogs on our website that go into even further detail about the more intricate and the more technical sides of buying a coffee machine. If you have any comments or questions, make sure you pop them below. And if you enjoyed the video, why not hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the little bell as well. And then that way you'll be notified every time we release a new video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Happy brewing. Cheers.